Sleep's calling, gentle and kind, ready to cradle you in dreams of open fields and sunlight. Let it take you, soft and slow, into a world where you're just a kid again. Hey guys, tonight we're plunging into the gritty, suffocating world of a child worker in the coal mines of the Industrial Revolution. Picture this. You're standing at the mouth of a coal pit in 1840s England, the air thick with soot and the distant clink of picks echoing like a grim lullaby. You're barely 9, your hands already calloused, your patched trousers hanging loose on a frame too small for the work ahead. The mine's a black abyss, swallowing light and hope, and you're about to crawl inside. Spoiler alert, you probably won't survive this. Between choking dust, collapsing tunnels, and overseers who swing whips like they're conducting an orchestra, it's a wonder any kid made it to adulthood. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'm curious where you're chilling tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're at the pit's edge, the morning damp soaking your thin shirt. The Industrial Revolution's roaring, and coal's the fuel-keeping factories humming and steam engines chugging. Historical reports, like the 1842 Children's Employment Commission, reveal kids as young as 4 worked mines, their tiny bodies perfect for squeezing through narrow seams. You're handed a leather strap, a girl, to pull coal carts, and a candle stub that barely fights the dark. The overseer, a hulking man with a scowl, barks for you to move. You start down the shaft, clinging to a rope ladder, the walls slick with damp clay. The air turns heavy, scratching your throat, and the darkness presses like a weight. You're a hurrier, dragging coal through tunnels too tight for adults. Your knees scrape rock, and the strap digs into your shoulders, already sore from yesterday's shift. Other kids scurry past, their faces smudged, eyes dull. A quirky tidbit: some kids tied bells to their straps, the jingle helping miners track them in the dark, like grim Christmas sleighs. You've got one, its faint tinkle mocking the silence. Historians still argue whether child labor was a desperate necessity or ruthless profit-chasing. Some say families relied on kids' wages, others call it slavery by another name. Either way, you're here, heart racing, dragging a cart that feels heavier than you. The tunnel narrows, forcing you to crawl, your candle flickering like it's as scared as you are. Joke break. Why's the mine so quiet? Because even the rats know it's a trap. You're not laughing, and neither's the boy behind you, his cough sharp in the stale air. You're pulling your load, the cart's wheels grinding, every inch a battle. The overseer's voice echoes, promising a lash if you're slow. You're already aching, but the shift's 12 hours, and you've barely begun. That bell on your strap jingles faintly, a reminder you're not invisible, yet. You're wondering how long till you see the sky again, or if you'll ever feel clean. For now, you're just crawling, one shaky breath at a time. Hey guys, tonight we're plunging into the gritty, suffocating world of a child worker in the coal mines of the Industrial Revolution. Picture this. You're standing at the mouth of a coal pit in 1840s England, the air thick with soot and the distant clink of picks echoing like a grim lullaby. You're barely 9, your hands already calloused, your patched trousers hanging loose on a frame too small for the work ahead. The mine's a black abyss, swallowing light and hope, and you're about to crawl inside. Spoiler alert, you probably won't survive this. Between choking dust, collapsing tunnels, and overseers who swing whips like they're conducting an orchestra, it's a wonder any kid made it to adulthood. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'm curious where you're chilling tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're at the pit's edge, the morning damp soaking your thin shirt. The Industrial Revolution's roaring, and coal's the fuel-keeping factories humming and steam engines chugging. Historical reports, like the 1842 Children's Employment Commission, reveal kids as young as 4 worked minds, their tiny bodies perfect for squeezing through narrow seams. You're handed a leather strap, a girl, to pull coal carts, and a candle stub that barely fights the dark. The overseer, a hulking man with a scowl, barks for you to move. You start down the shaft, clinging to a rope ladder, the walls slick with damp clay. The air turns heavy, scratching your throat, and the darkness presses like a weight. You're a hurrier, dragging coal through tunnels too tight for adults. Your knees scrape rock, and the strap digs into your shoulders, already sore from yesterday's shift. Other kids scurry past, their faces smudged, eyes dull. A quirky tidbit: some kids tied bells to their straps, the jingle helping miners track them in the dark, like grim Christmas sleighs. You've got one, its faint tinkle mocking the silence. Historians still argue whether child labor was a desperate necessity or ruthless profit-chasing. Some say families relied on kids' wages, others call it slavery by another name. Either way, you're here, heart racing, dragging a cart that feels heavier than you. The tunnel narrows, forcing you to crawl, your candle flickering like it's as scared as you are. Joke break. Why's the mind so quiet? Because even the rats know it's a trap. You're not laughing, and neither's the boy behind you, his cough sharp in the stale air. You're pulling your load, the cart's wheels grinding, every inch a battle. The overseer's voice echoes, promising a lash if you're slow. You're already aching, but the shift's 12 hours, and you've barely begun. That bell on your strap jingles faintly, a reminder you're not invisible, yet. You're wondering how long till you see the sky again, or if you'll ever feel clean. For now, you're just crawling, one shaky breath at a time. You're sprawled in a cramped tunnel, your chest heaving as you gulp air that feels like swallowing gravel. The coal dust coats your tongue, your eyes, even your thoughts, turning the mine into a suffocating shroud. As a 9-year-old hurrier in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, you're battling more than heavy carts. The air itself is your enemy, thick with particles that claw your lungs. Your candle flickers, casting jittery shadows on the jagged walls, and the bell on your leather strap jingles faintly, a mocking reminder you're still moving. The 1840s mine is a labyrinth of darkness, and every breath you take feels like it's stealing a piece of you. Coal dust is relentless. Historical reports from the 1842 Children's Employment Commission describe miners, especially kids, suffering from black lung or pneumoconiosis, their lungs scarred by years of inhaling dust. You're only 9, but your cough's already sharp, rattling like loose stones in your chest. The air's so thick you can barely see your hands, the dust settling on your skin like a second shirt. You're wiping your face, smearing it worse, and wondering if you'll ever feel clean again. A quirky tidbit: some kids tied rags over their mouths, calling them dust veils, hoping to filter the air. You've got one, a scrap of cloth from your sister's old dress, but it's soaked with sweat and coal, more gag than guard. You're hauling your cart again, the tunnel's low ceiling forcing you to crawl. Each breath burns, and you're dizzy, the dust clogging your nose. You pass a ventilation door, its creak a faint promise of fresher air, but it's not enough. Other kids cough nearby, their hacks echoing like a grim chorus. You're trying to focus, dragging your load, but your lungs are protesting, and your candle's flame dances like it's suffocating too. Historians still argue whether mine owners ignored the dust's toll or just didn't care. Some say ventilation improved slowly, others claim profit trumped lives. You're too busy coughing to weigh in, your rags slipping as you gasp. Joke break: why's the air so bad? Because the mine's smoking, and you're the filter. You're not laughing, and neither's the boy ahead, his cough sounding wetter than yours. You're thinking about that pet rat from the whaler. Kidding, no sea callbacks here. Just dust, dark, and the grind. You're shoving the cart, your bell jingling, each pull a fight against the air itself. You're dreaming of the surface, of wind that doesn't choke, but the shift's got hours left. For now, you're just breathing, one gritty gulp at a time, hoping your lungs hold out. You're crouched in a coal mine's narrow shaft, the darkness so thick it feels like it's pressing against your skin. The air's a gritty haze, and your candle's weak flame barely cuts through the gloom, casting shadows that dance like ghosts. As a 9-year-old in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, you're not hauling carts today. You're a trapper, stuck alone at a ventilation door, opening and closing it to keep air flowing through the 1840s labyrinth. Your job's simple but lonely, sitting in the pitch black, listening to the distant clatter of picks and the creak of timbers. The damp cold seeps into your bones, and the bell from your old Hurrier strap, tucked in your pocket now, feels like a relic of a less isolating task. Being a trapper is mind-numbing. Historical records from the 1842 Children's Employment Commission describe kids as young as 6 manning trapdoors, sitting for 12-hour shifts in total darkness to control airflow. You're perched on a wooden crate, the door's rope in your hand, pulling it open when you hear carts or footsteps, then letting it thud shut. The silence between is deafening, broken only by your own cough or the scuttle of rats. A quirky tidbit: some trappers carved shapes into the walls with stones, claiming it kept the dark from winning. You try it, scratching a wobbly star into the rock, but it's hard to care when your fingers are numb and the dark feels alive. You're alone, the nearest miner a tunnel away, their voices faint. The door creaks as you open it for a passing cart, the hurriers face a smudged blur. You're supposed to stay alert, but the darkness pulls at your eyelids, tempting sleep you can't afford. If you miss a cue, the air could stagnate, choking everyone. Historians still argue whether trappers were essential or just cheap labor. Some say they kept mines breathable, others call it a cruel way to exploit kids' patience. You're shivering, the damp wall at your back, wondering how long you can sit here without going mad. Your candle's down to a nub, and you're rationing its light, terrified of being left in total black. Joke break. Why's the trapper so bored? Because the dark's a worse boss than the overseer. You're not laughing, and neither's the rat you hear scurrying nearby. It's got better things to do. You're thinking of that whale ship's pet rat, wishing for its company. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just you, the door, and the dark. You pull the rope again, the door groaning like it's as tired as you. The shift's endless, and you're counting breaths to stay awake, each one tasting of coal. You're dreaming of daylight, but for now, you're just a shadow, guarding the air in a world that forgets you're there. You're hunched in the coal mine's inky depths, your stomach growling louder than the distant clatter of picks. The air's a gritty soup of dust and damp, and your candle stub flickers, barely lighting the tunnel's jagged walls. As a 9-year-old trapper in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, you're stuck at your ventilation door, but hunger's your real tormentor now. You're clutching a crust of bread, your only meal for this 12-hour shift in the 1840s pit, and it's so stale it could double as a hammer. The cold seeps through your thin shirt, and every creak of the mine feels like it's mocking your empty belly. Hunger's a constant companion down here. Historical reports from the 1842 Children's Employment Commission note child workers often ate just bread or cold porridge, sometimes nothing, during long shifts. You're nibbling your crust, trying to make it last, but it's gone in 3 bites, leaving you licking crumbs off your sooty fingers. Your family's too poor for more, maybe a potato or watery soup at home, if you're lucky. A quirky tidbit: some kids chewed on coal dust, swearing it filled the gut when food ran out. You try it, crunching a pinch, and instantly regret it. It's like eating a fireplace. Your stomach twists, unimpressed, and you're dreaming of a hot pie you saw in a market once, a lifetime ago. You pull the trapdoor rope, letting a cart pass, the hurrier's face as hollow as your belly. The darkness presses in, and you're fighting the urge to curl up and sleep, hunger sapping your strength. You're thinking of your sister, who's probably eating less to save scraps for you. The mine's noises, picks, shouts, creaks, blend into a dull roar, but your hunger's louder, gnawing at your focus. Historians still argue whether starvation drove kids to work harder or broke them. Some say it fueled desperation, others claim it left them too weak to function. You're leaning toward broken, your hands shaking as you grip the rope, praying for the shift's end. Joke break. Why's the bread so tough? Because it's training to be a miner too. You're not laughing, and neither's the rat you hear skittering, probably better fed than you. No whaler's pet rat to keep you company. Kidding, no sea callbacks here. Just hunger and cold. You're sipping water from a tin flask, hoping it tricks your stomach, but it's as empty as your promises to eat big tomorrow. The candle's fading, and you're rationing its light, terrified of the dark and the hunger that'll follow you home. For now, you're just pulling the rope, one weak tug at a time, dreaming of a meal that fills you up. You're shivering at your trapdoor post, the coal mine's damp chill sinking into your bones as you grip the rope, ready to yank it open for the next cart. The air's heavy with dust, scratching your throat with every breath, and your candle's flame dances like it's ready to quit. As a 9-year-old in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, you're used to the dark, but the overseer's shadow looms larger, his whip a constant threat that keeps your tired hands moving. The 1840s pit is a maze of tunnels, and his barked orders echo through them, demanding you work faster, even as hunger and cold slow you down. Your stomach's still grumbling from that measly bread crust, and every creak of the mine feels like the overseer's boots stalking closer. The overseer's your nightmare. Historical records from the 1842 Children's Employment Commission describe overseers as harsh enforcers, using whips or sticks to drive kids to meet brutal quotas. You're supposed to open and close the trapdoor quick enough to keep air flowing without delaying carts, but one slip, and the overseer's lash stings your back. You've seen him, a burly man with coal-smudged fists, snapping his whip at a boy who nodded off. A quirky tidbit: some kids whispered that overseers kept tally sticks, notching them for every lash to track discipline. You're watching for him now, your ears straining for his heavy steps, pulling the rope with shaky speed to avoid his wrath. A cart rumbles past, and you yank the door, dust swirling as the hurrier grunts by. You're dodging the overseer's gaze, knowing he's waiting for an excuse, a slow pull, a missed cue. Your candle's low, and you're squinting through the gloom, heart racing when you hear boots. "Move it, you lazy rat," he growls, and you flinch, pulling harder. Historians still argue whether overseers were cruel tyrants or just cogs in a brutal system. Some say they enforced order, others call their methods torture. You're voting torture, your back still smarting from yesterday's lesson. The mine's noises, picks, carts, shouts, blend into a grim hum, but the overseer's whip cracks louder than all of it. Joke break: why's the overseer so cranky? Because even the coal's outworking him. You're not laughing, and neither's the kid nearby, his eyes wide as the overseer passes. No whalers stew to blame here. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just the rope, the dark, and the fear. You're gripping it tighter, your hands raw, praying you're fast enough to keep him at bay. The candle's flickering, and you're rationing its light, knowing a burnt-out wick means working blind, and a sure lashing. You're dreaming of a day without his shadow, but for now, you're just pulling the rope, one terrified tug at a time. You're perched at your trapdoor, the coal mine's suffocating darkness wrapping around you like a damp blanket. Your candle's a pitiful stub, its flame flickering as if it's as tired as you are, casting long shadows that twist across the tunnel's rough walls. As a 9-year-old trapper in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, you're used to the overseer's whip and hunger's bite, but the candlelight you rely on is a double-edged sword, your only guide, yet a spark away from disaster. The 1840s pit hums with distant picks and carts, but here, it's just you, the creaking door, and the ever-present threat of fire. Your hands tremble on the rope, raw from pulling, and every gust through the tunnel makes your heart skip, fearing it'll snuff your light, or worse. Candlelight's a lifeline and a hazard. Historical records from the 1842 Children's Employment Commission note that open flames were common in mines before safety lamps, risking methane gas explosions that could kill dozens. You're clutching your candle, wedged in a tin holder, its wax dripping onto your fingers as you pull the trapdoor for a passing cart. The air's thick with coal dust, and you're praying no stray spark ignites it. Fires in mines were grimly common, turning tunnels into ovens. A quirky tidbit: Some kids whispered that blowing softly on a candle calmed its spirit, keeping it from flaring. You try it, puffing gently, but the flame just wobbles, mocking your superstition. Your eyes sting from dust, and you're squinting to keep the light alive. The tunnel's quiet now, save for a rat scuttle. No whaler's pet here, just a scrappy survivor like you. You're opening the door again, the rope slick with sweat, and a miner's shout echoes, warning about bad air. Methane's invisible, odorless, and deadly, and your candle's the only way to spot it. If the flame turns blue, you're in trouble. You're watching it like a hawk, heart pounding. Historians still argue whether open flames were a necessary evil or reckless greed. Some say mines couldn't function without them, others claim owners ignored safer options for profit. You're too busy shivering to care, the cold and fear knotting your gut as you ration the candle's life, knowing a burnt-out wick means blindness and danger. Joke break. Why's the candle so moody? Because it's burning out faster than your hopes. You're not laughing, and neither's the hurrier passing by, his face smudged and tense. You're pulling the rope, dodging wax strips, and wondering how sailors on that whaler dealt with fire. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just you, the flame, and the dark. The overseer's boots thud somewhere close, and you're praying your candle holds till the shift ends. You're dreaming of a lamp that doesn't threaten to roast you, but for now, you're just guarding the flame, one shaky breath at a time. You're curled up at your trapdoor post, the coal mine's icy damp seeping through your ragged shirt as you tug the rope for another passing cart. The darkness is absolute, your candle's faint glow barely denting it, and the air's thick with dust that stings your eyes. As a 9-year-old trapper in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, you're used to the overseer's whip and the flicker of your candle, but the mine's creaking timbers are a new terror, groaning like they're ready to give up. Every shift in the 1840s pit feels like a gamble, and the wooden supports holding up the tunnels are your only shield against a collapse. Your hands shake on the rope, and every snap or crack overhead makes you flinch, wondering if the earth's about to swallow you whole. The mine's a fragile beast. Historical records from the 1842 Children's Employment Commission describe frequent cave-ins, with weak timber props often failing under the weight of rock and coal. You're listening to the beams now, their moans echoing through the tunnel, each one a warning you can't ignore. The supports are rough-hewn, splintered, and sometimes rotting, barely holding back tons of earth. A quirky tidbit: some kids tapped timbers with stones, claiming a hollow sound meant the mine's angry. You try it, knocking a beam, and the dull thud does little to calm you. It sounds more like a tired sigh than a promise of safety. Your candle flickers, casting shadows that make the props look like leaning skeletons. You're opening the trapdoor again, the rope biting your palms, as a hurrier's cart rumbles by. The tunnel's low ceiling forces you to hunch, and you're eyeing the timbers, praying they hold. A distant rumble, maybe a blast or just settling rock, makes your heart lurch, and you freeze, listening for screams. Cave-ins were killers, burying kids and miners alike, and you've heard stories of whole shifts vanishing under rubble. Historians still argue whether mine owners skimped on timber to save costs or if collapses were just inevitable. Some say better supports could have saved lives, others claim the tech wasn't there. You're too scared to care, clutching the rope like it's a lifeline, your candle's light trembling with you. Joke break. Why's the timber so grumpy? Because it's holding up the world's worst job. You're not laughing, and neither's the rat scurrying past. No whaler's pet, just a mine regular. You're thinking of that whale ship's creaking hull. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just rock, wood, and fear. You're pulling the rope, ears straining for cracks, the overseer's shout barely registering over the timber's groans. You're dreaming of a tunnel that doesn't threaten to crush you, but for now, you're just listening, one terrified breath at a time, hoping the mine stays kind. You're slumped at your trapdoor, the coal mine's suffocating dark pressing in as you tug the rope for a passing cart, your candle's dim glow flickering like a dying star. The air's thick with dust, and the timbers overhead creak, a constant reminder of the earth's weight above. As a 9-year-old trapper in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, you're used to hunger and the overseer's whip, but what stings most is the childhood you'll never have. The 1840s pit steals more than your strength. It robs you of play, laughter, and the carefree days other kids might know. Your hands are raw, your back aches, and every jingle of that old Hurrier's bell in your pocket feels like a taunt from a life you can't reach. Childhood's a distant dream down here. Historical reports from the 1842 Children's Employment Commission describe child miners working 12, 14-hour shifts, with no time for school or play, their youth sacrificed to fuel Britain's industrial boom. You're thinking of kids on the surface, maybe running through fields or tossing stones in a stream, but you're stuck in this hole, opening and closing a door for carts that never stop. A quirky tidbit: some kids smuggled marbles into the mine, rolling them in the dark during rare breaks to steal back fun. You've got one, a chipped glass orb from your brother, and you roll it between your fingers, its cool smoothness a faint echo of joy. But the overseer's boots thud nearby, and you shove it back in your pocket, heart sinking. You're pulling the rope again, the door creaking, as a Hurrier's shadow passes. You're remembering a festival last summer. Music, laughter, a sticky bun you shared with your sister. Now, it's just dust and drudgery. Other trappers nearby are silent, their own dreams buried under coal. You're wondering if you'll ever climb a tree or chase a dog again, or if this mine's your whole world now. Historians still argue whether child labor crushed spirits or forged resilience. Some say kids adapted, finding hope in small acts. Others claim the toil broke their souls. You're feeling broken, your marble a heavy weight, as you fight the urge to cry. Joke break. Why's the mind so mean? Because it eats childhoods for breakfast. You're not laughing, and neither's the rat skittering by. No whaler's friend, just a mine thief. You're thinking of that whale ship's open deck. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just dark, dust, and lost dreams. You're opening the door, the rope slick with sweat, the overseer's shout cutting through your thoughts. You're dreaming of a day you can play without fear, but for now, you're just a trapper, pulling the rope, one lonely tug at a time, clutching a marble that's all you've got left of being a kid. You're huddled at your trapdoor, the coal mine's oppressive darkness swallowing the faint glow of your candle, its wax dripping like tears onto the cold stone floor. The air's thick with dust, and the creak of timbers overhead keeps your heart on edge, but you're not alone in this 1840s pit. As a 9-year-old trapper in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, you share this grim world with other child workers, hurriers, trappers, and haulers, all kids like you, bound by toil and whispered dreams. The rope in your hand feels heavier with each tug, and the distant clatter of carts mixes with soft voices, kids swapping stories to fend off the dark. Your chipped marble, that small token of childhood, sits heavy in your pocket, a reminder of what binds you to them. You're not the only one missing sunlight. Historical reports from the 1842 Children's Employment Commission describe thousands of children in mines, some as young as 5, forming tight-knit groups to survive the long shifts. You're listening now to a hurrier, a girl named Maggie, her voice drifting through the tunnel as she pauses her cart. She's talking about a river she saw once, sparkling under the sun, and you lean in, hungry for her words. A quirky tidbit: some kids traded mine treasures, bits of shiny coal or odd stones, as tokens of friendship. You pull out your marble, offering it to Maggie during a quiet moment, and she hands you a smooth pebble, her grin a rare light in the gloom. It's a small pact, a promise you're in this together. The door creaks as you open it for her cart, the rope biting your palms. Other kids pass: Tommy, a trapper down the shaft, or Sam, hauling coal with a limp. You swap whispers about home, about siblings, or a stray dog you all fed once. These moments keep you going, a flicker of warmth in the cold. Historians still argue whether these bonds saved kids' spirits or just delayed despair. Some say camaraderie built strength, others claim it couldn't erase the trauma. You're clinging to the former, Maggie's pebble in your hand, as you pull the rope again, her soft hum echoing back. The overseer's shout cuts through, but you're sharing a glance with Tommy, a silent vow to watch out for each other. Joke break. Why's the mind so chatty? Because kids' whispers out-talk the rats. You're not laughing, but Maggie's stifled giggle lifts your mood. No whalers rat to bond over. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just you, the kids, and the dark. You're opening the door, candle flickering, dreaming of a day you'll all sit in the sun together. For now, you're just tugging the rope, one shared story at a time, holding onto the pebble like it's a piece of hope. You're crouched at your trapdoor, the coal mine's suffocating darkness pressing close, your candle's weak flame barely holding the shadows at bay. The air's gritty with dust, and the timbers groan overhead, but a new sound cuts through, a sharp cry, followed by the clatter of falling rock. As a 9-year-old trapper in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, you're no stranger to fear, but accidents in this 1840s pit are a brutal reality, claiming kids and miners with chilling regularity. Your hands tremble on the rope, Maggie's pebble still in your pocket, and you're straining to hear if that cry was from someone you know. The mine feels alive, its dangers lurking in every crevice, and every thud makes you wonder who's next. Accidents are a constant threat. Historical reports from the 1842 Children's Employment Commission detail horrific incidents: falls, cart crashes, and cave-ins that maimed or killed child workers. You're frozen now, listening as shouts echo down the shaft, miners calling for help. A hurrier, maybe Tommy, slipped on a slick rail, his cart tipping and pinning his leg. You're pulling your trapdoor open, letting rescuers pass, their faces grim under coal-smudged brows. A quirky tidbit: some kids carried Lucky Charms, like twisted nails or bits of rope, believing they warded off mishaps. You touch Maggie's pebble, hoping it's got some magic, but the cries don't stop, and your stomach knots tighter. You're back at your post, the rope slick with sweat, as the rescue effort clatters past. Tommy's moans fade, carried off to the surface, and you're praying he's okay. The mine's unforgiving: loose rocks, bad rails, and low ceilings catch kids daily, leaving scars or worse. You've seen cuts and bruises, even helped bandage a boy's hand after a pick slipped. Historians still argue whether accidents were due to negligence or the mine's nature. Some say owners ignored safety for profit, others claim the tech wasn't advanced enough. You're betting on greed, your candle flickering as dust settles from the commotion. The overseer's barking orders, but even he sounds shaken, his whip quiet for once. Joke break. Why's the mine so clumsy? Because it trips kids faster than the overseer. You're not laughing, and neither's Maggie, her cart pausing nearby, her face pale. No whalers blubber to slip on. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just rock, fear, and the dark. You're tugging the rope, heart heavy, wondering if Tommy's leg's broken or worse. You're dreaming of a mine that doesn't chew up kids, but for now, you're just listening for more cries, one shaky pull at a time, clutching that pebble like it can keep the accidents away. You're shivering at your trapdoor, the coal mine's damp chill gnawing at your bones as you tug the rope, opening it for a passing cart. The air's thick with dust. Your candles flame a frail flicker against the 1840s pit's endless dark, and your cough's growing sharper, rattling like pebbles in your chest. As a 9-year-old trapper in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, you're used to the overseer's whip and the creak of timbers, but now sickness is creeping in, your lungs battered by the dust you breathe day after day. Maggie's pebble sits heavy in your pocket, a small comfort, but it can't stop the ache in your ribs or the feverish heat prickling your skin. Every breath feels like a fight, and the mine's grim hum, picks, carts, shouts, sounds distant, drowned by your own wheezing. Sickness is a silent killer here. Historical reports from the 1842 Children's Employment Commission describe child miners suffering from lung diseases like bronchitis and black lung, their health ruined by coal dust and damp conditions. You're only 9, but your cough's wet now, and you're spitting black phlegm into your rag, the same one you use as a dust veil. Remember that scrap from your sister's dress? It's useless against the dust clogging your lungs. A quirky tidbit: some kids chewed licorice root, believing it cleared the pipes. You've got a sliver from a miner's wife, and you're gnawing it, but its bitter tang does nothing for the tightness in your chest. You're wondering if you'll end up like your brother, coughing himself to sleep every night. You're pulling the rope again, the door creaking, but your arms feel heavy, and your head swimming. Maggie's cart passes, and she whispers, "You sound bad," her eyes worried. You shrug, not wanting to scare her, but you're scared yourself. Sickness means no work, no wages, and a hungrier family. Other kids are coughing too, their hacks echoing through the tunnels like a grim chorus. Historians still argue whether mine owners knew the dust's toll or ignored it. Some say they saw sick kids as replaceable, others claim medical knowledge was too limited. You're betting on indifference, your candle's light wavering as you lean against the wall, dizzy. The overseer's shout jolts you upright, but even his whip feels less frightening than the sickness taking hold. Joke break. Why's the cough so loud? Because it's auditioning for the mine's choir. You're not laughing, and neither's Maggie, her glance lingering as she hauls her cart away. No whaler's scurvy to fight here. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just dust, dark, and disease. You're tugging the rope, each pull weaker, dreaming of air that doesn't burn your lungs. For now, you're just breathing, one ragged gasp at a time, hoping the licorice root, or something, keeps you going till the shift's end. You're slumped at your trapdoor, the coal mine's damp darkness pressing in, your candle's faint glow barely holding back the shadows. Your cough rattles harder now, each hack a knife in your chest, but you're gripping the rope, pulling it for a passing cart. The 1840s pit hums with distant picks, but your mind's on home, your family, scraping by on the pennies you earn as a 9-year-old trapper in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines. Every tug of the rope is for them, your wages the thin thread keeping hunger at bay. Maggie's pebble in your pocket feels heavier, a reminder of the kids you work beside, but it's your mother's tired face and your sister's patched dress that drive you to keep going, despite the dust and the overseer's whip. Your family's survival depends on you. Historical reports from the 1842 Children's Employment Commission show that child miners often worked to support impoverished households, their earnings, sometimes a shilling a week, buying bread or coal for freezing homes. You're thinking of your mother, scrubbing laundry till her hands bleed, and your little brother, too young for the pit but not for hunger. Your wages mean a loaf or a bit of broth, maybe a candle for the long nights. A quirky tidbit: some kids hid their pennies in their shoes, believing it kept the money safe from spirits. You've tucked yours in your sock, a small lump under your foot, guarding it from thieves or bad luck. It's not much, but it's everything. You're pulling the rope again, the door creaking as a hurrier's cart rumbles by. Your cough's worse, and you're dizzy, but stopping means no pay, and no pay means your family starves. You're remembering your sister's smile when you brought home a crust last week, and it's enough to keep your hands moving. Other kids talk of their own families: Tommy's dad, sick from the mines; Maggie's mom, sewing by lamplight. Historians still argue whether child labor was a family's lifeline or a trap. Some say it kept households afloat, others claim it chained kids to misery for pennies. You're feeling the chain, your body aching, but you're pulling for them, not you. Joke break. Why's the penny so precious? Because it's the only thing heavier than your cart. You're not laughing, and neither's the hurrier passing by, his own wages tucked somewhere safe. No whalers portside bartering here. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just dust, duty, and the dark. You're opening the door, the rope biting your palms, dreaming of a day your family doesn't need your wages. For now, you're just tugging, one weary pull at a time. The penny in your sock, a small spark of purpose in the mine's endless gloom. You're hunched at your trapdoor, the coal mine's suffocating darkness clinging to you like a second skin, your candle's frail light wavering as you tug the rope for another cart. Your cough's a constant rasp now, scraping your throat raw, and the air's thick with dust that settles in your lungs. As a 9-year-old trapper in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, you've endured the overseer's whip and the creak of timbers, but now there's a faint whisper of change, rumors of reform, laws that might pull kids like you out of this 1840s pit. Maggie's pebble rests in your pocket, a quiet anchor, but it's the hushed talk of new rules among the hurriers that stirs your weary heart. You're pulling the rope, ears straining for more, wondering if freedom's real or just another cruel tease. Reform's a distant hope. Historical records show the 1842 mines and collieries Act banned women and children under 10 from underground work, spurred by the Children's Employment Commission's grim findings. You're 9, so you're right on the edge, and the news trickles down through miners' grumbles and kids' whispers. Maggie told you yesterday, her voice low, about men in suits asking questions topside, writing down how kids cough and bleed. A quirky tidbit: some kids thought reformers were sky angels, sent to lift them to daylight. You're picturing winged men in top hats, and it almost makes you smile, but your cough kills the thought, and you're back to the rope, the dark, and the dust. You're opening the door again, the creak drowned by a hurrier's cart rattling past. Tommy, back from his leg injury, limps by, muttering about no more kids in pits. You want to believe it, but the overseer's still barking, his whip cracking somewhere down the shaft. The law's new, and you're not sure it'll reach you. Mines are far from London, and owners don't like change. Historians still argue whether the 1842 Act saved kids or just shifted their misery. Some say it cut child labor, others claim enforcement was weak, and kids worked anyway. You're hoping for salvation, but your penny-stuffed sock reminds you your family needs you here, law or no law. Joke break. Why's reform so slow? Because it's crawling slower than your cart. You're not laughing, and neither's Tommy, his eyes dull as he hauls his load. No whaler's mutiny whispers here. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just hope, dust, and the dark. You're pulling the rope, your cough sharper, dreaming of a world where kids don't choke for coal. For now, you're just tugging, one shaky pull at a time, clinging to rumors of reform like they're as precious as Maggie's pebble. You're trembling at your trapdoor, the coal mine's damp chill biting through your tattered shirt as you pull the rope, your candle's faint glow a fragile shield against the suffocating dark. The air's thick with dust, your cough a grim reminder of the toll this 1840s pit's taken. But today you're climbing out, up to the surface, a rare escape from the Industrial Revolution's coal mines. As a 9-year-old trapper, you've lived in shadows, but now the shift's ended, and the promise of daylight pulls you like a lifeline. Maggie's pebbles in your pocket, your pennies safe in your sock, and the whispers of reform still linger, but it's the thought of fresh air that quickens your shaky steps. The mine's creaks fade as you move toward the shaft, heart racing for a taste of the world above. The surface is a fleeting gift. Historical records from the 1842 Children's Employment Commission describe child miners surfacing after 12-hour shifts, blinking into sunlight that felt foreign. You're climbing now, the ladder's rungs slick under your hands, each step a jolt through your aching body. The air grows cooler, cleaner, and you're gulping it, your cough easing as the dust thins. You reach the pit's mouth and scramble out, the sky a dazzling gray that stings your eyes. Grass scrunches underfoot, and you're frozen, savoring the breeze that doesn't choke on you. A quirky tidbit: some kids rolled in the dirt when they surfaced, calling it bathing in freedom. You're tempted, but you just sit, knees pulled up, breathing like it's a new skill. The world above feels like a dream. Miners trudge past, their faces etched with coal, while kids like Maggie and Tommy scatter, some kicking stones in a brief burst of play. You're watching clouds drift, wondering if those reform whispers mean you'll see more of this. The overseer's shout echoes from the next pit, a sharp reminder you'll be back below soon. Historians still argue whether breaks like this restored kids or just taunted them. Some say they rekindled hope, others claim they made the dark feel darker. You're leaning toward hope, your fingers tracing the grass, Maggie's pebble a small weight of promise. The sun's faint warmth seeps in, and you're dreaming of staying here, free from the pit's grip. Joke break. Why's the sky so bright? Because it's showing off for your 5-minute vacation. You're not laughing, and neither's Maggie, her smile soft as she joins you. No whaler's portside respite here. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just air, light, and a moment. You're clutching your penny, knowing it's for home, but wishing it could buy this freedom. The bell from your hurrier days jingles in your pocket, a faint echo of the grind below. You're savoring every breath, but the shift's end means another begins tomorrow. For now, you're just sitting, one fleeting pause at a time, soaking in a world that feels too alive to lose. You're back in the coal mine's icy grip, the fleeting warmth of the surface a fading memory as you crouch at your trapdoor, tugging the rope for a passing cart. The air's a frigid, dusty haze, and your candle's dim flicker struggles against the 1840s pit's relentless dark. As a 9-year-old trapper in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, winters turned the tunnels into a frozen hell, the cold so sharp it feels like knives in your lungs. Your cough's worse, each hex stealing your breath, and your thin shirt's no match for the chill seeping through the damp walls. Maggie's pebble's still in your pocket, a small anchor, but even it feels cold, and your penny-stuffed sock offers no warmth as you shiver, praying the shift ends before you freeze. Winter's a merciless foe down here. Historical reports from the 1842 Children's Employment Commission describe mines turning brutally cold in winter, with kids working in near-freezing tunnels, their breath clouding like steam. You're huddling close to your candle, its tiny heat a tease against the frost biting your fingers and toes. The walls glisten with ice, and the rope stiff, making each pull a battle. A quirky tidbit: some kids wrap their feet in coal sacks, calling them pit boots to fight the cold. You've tried it, tying scraps around your boots, but they're soaked through, and your toes are numb, tingling with every step. You're blowing on your hands, trying to keep them nimble, but the cold's winning. You're opening the door again, the creak lost in the clatter of a hurrier's cart. Maggie, her face pinched from the chill. She whispers about snow topside, and you're jealous, imagining a world blanketed in white while you're trapped in this black frost. The overseer's voice barks somewhere down the shaft, his whip a threat even winter can't dull. Historians still argue whether cold worsened kids' health or just made work harder. Some say it drove illnesses like pneumonia, others claim it was just another misery piled on. You're coughing harder, your chest tight, and you're betting on sickness, the cold and dust a deadly pair. Your candle's wax drips, freezing on the floor, a tiny sculpture of your struggle. Joke break: why's the mind so cold? Because it's practicing for the Ice Age audition. You're not laughing, and neither's Maggie, her teeth chattering as she hauls her cart away. No whalers' Arctic hunts here. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just ice, dust, and shivers. You're pulling the rope, fingers stiff, dreaming of a fire you can't afford at home. The penny in your sock feels like a cruel joke. Money for bread, but none for warmth. For now, you're just tugging, one frozen pull at a time, hoping your body holds out against the winter's cruel embrace. You're crouched at your trapdoor, the coal mine's icy darkness pressing in, your candle's frail light trembling against the frozen air. The 1840s pit is a maze of frost and dust, and your cough rattles harder, each breath a struggle through the chill. As a 9-year-old trapper in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, you're used to the cold and the overseer's whip, but now there's a new threat: steam-powered machinery, its hissing bulk looming in the tunnels. The rope in your hand feels stiff, Maggie's pebble a cold weight in your pocket, and the distant clank of gears makes your heart race. You're pulling the door for a cart, but the mine's changing, and the new machines feel like monsters waiting to pounce. Steam power's creeping into the mines. Historical records show that by the 1840s, some collieries introduced steam engines for pumping water or hauling coal, but they brought new dangers for kids like you. You're eyeing a steam winch down the shaft, its iron frame puffing steam that mixes with the dust, making the air thicker. It pulls heavier loads than you ever could, but its chains swing wildly, and you've heard of kids crushed by misfired cables. A quirky tidbit: some kids called the machines iron dragons, swearing they roared at night. You hear it now, a low hiss like a beast waking up, and you're tugging the rope faster, keeping clear of its path. You're opening the door for Maggie's cart, her face tense as she skirts the winch's chains. The overseer's shouting about quotas, his whip cracking, but even he avoids the machine's reach. You're dodging its steam, hot and sharp compared to the tunnel's frost, and your cough worsens, the damp air burning your lungs. The machine's noise drowns out the timber's creaks, but you're still listening for cave-ins, now joined by the fear of snapping cables. Historians still argue whether steam machinery eased kids' burdens or added risks. Some say it reduced manual labor, others claim accidents spiked with its arrival. You're betting on danger, your hands shaking as you pull the rope, the winches hiss a constant warning. Joke break. Why's the machine so loud? Because it's bragging about stealing your job. You're not laughing, and neither's Maggie, her eyes darting to the chains. No whalers fire hazards here. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just steam, dust, and dread. You're tugging the rope, your penny-stuffed sock a reminder of why you're here, but the machine's shadow makes you feel smaller than ever. You're dreaming of a mine without iron dragons, but for now, you're just pulling, one wary tug at a time, hoping you stay clear of the machinery's deadly reach. You're shivering at your trapdoor, the coal mine's frozen darkness wrapping around you like a damp shroud, your candle's weak flame barely cutting through the 1840s pit's gloom. Your cough's a constant rasp, worsened by the steam winch's humid hiss down the shaft, and the air's thick with dust and frost. As a 9-year-old trapper in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, you faced hunger, whips, and creaking timbers, but you're clinging to tiny sparks of hope, small moments that defy the mine's relentless misery. Maggie's pebbles in your pocket, a quiet reminder of your bond with other kids, and your penny-stuffed sock grounds you, but it's the fleeting joys, shared whispers, a stolen laugh, that keep your spirit flickering. You tug the rope, opening the door for a cart, and listen for Maggie's hum, a rare light in this cold abyss. Hope hides in small acts. Historical records from the 1842 Children's Employment Commission mention children finding solace in games or stories, brief escapes from the grind. You're remembering yesterday, when Tommy, back from his injury, drew a chalk fish on the tunnel wall during a quiet moment, grinning like it was a masterpiece. You're smiling now, adding a wobbly star next to it with a stone, your own mark against the dark. A quirky tidbit: some kids sang pit lullabies, soft tunes about home, to soothe each other. You try one, humming a line about a warm fire, but your cough cuts it short, and you're back to the rope, the door creaking as Maggie's cart passes. She winks, and it's enough to warm you for a second. You're pulling the rope again, the cold biting your fingers, but you're thinking of the time you and Maggie shared a crust, splitting it like treasure. These moments, her laugh, Tommy's chalk fish, are your rebellion against the mine's weight. The overseer's shout echoes, but you're whispering to a new trapper, a boy no older than 6, telling him about the surface's green grass. Historians still argue whether these small joys built resilience or just masked pain. Some say they kept kids sane, others claim they were fleeting distractions from trauma. You're holding on to sanity, your star-etched wall a tiny victory. The steam winch hisses, but you're focused on Maggie's next pass, hoping for another wink. Joke break. Why's the mind so gloomy? Because it's jealous of your chalk star's shine. You're not laughing, but the new kid's giggle is worth it. No whaler's lantern tales here. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just dust, cold, and hope. You're tugging the rope, your cough sharp, dreaming of a day filled with more than stolen moments. For now, you're just pulling, one hopeful tug at a time, your pebble and penny anchoring you to a life beyond the dark. You're perched at your trapdoor, the coal mine's icy darkness pressing close, your candle's faint glow a weary flicker against the 1840s pit's unyielding gloom. Your cough's a harsh rattle now, each breath a struggle through dust and frost, and the steam winch's hiss down the shaft adds a menacing hum. As a 9-year-old trapper in the Industrial Revolution's coal mines, you're nearing a turning point, aging out of child labor, your body too big for the tunnels, your future a foggy question mark. Maggie's pebbles in your pocket, a bittersweet anchor, and your penny-stuffed sock reminds you of your family's need, but the whispers of reform and your own exhaustion hint at an end to this grueling life. You tug the rope, opening the door for a cart, your hands steady despite the ache, wondering what lies beyond the pit. Childhood's slipping away. Historical records show that by the 1840s, kids often left mine work around 12 or 13, moving to surface jobs or factories, though many carried the scars of dust and toil. You're 9, but growth spurts are stretching your frame, and the overseer's already eyeing you for heavier tasks topside, or maybe you'll be pushed out if the 1842 Mines Act holds. You're thinking of Maggie, still small enough to stay, and Tommy, whose limp might keep him from harder work. A quirky tidbit: some kids marked their last shift by leaving a stone at the pit's mouth, a quiet goodbye to the dark. You're picturing your own stone, maybe etched with a star like the one on the wall, but you're not sure you're ready to leave this world, grim as it is. You're pulling the rope again, the door creaking as a hurrier's cart rumbles by. Your cough's worse, and you're weaker, but you're dreaming of what's next. Maybe a factory, with its own dangers, or a trade, if you're lucky. The reform whispers give you hope, but you've heard owners dodge the law, keeping kids underground. Historians still argue whether leaving the mines freed kids or traded one hell for another. Some say surface work was safer, others claim it just swapped dust for looms and long hours. You're hoping for freedom, your pebble a small weight of courage as you tug the rope, Maggie's wink from her last pass lingering in your mind. The mine's noises, picks, steam, shouts, feel like a fading song, and you're ready for a new one, whatever it brings. Joke break. Why's the mine letting you go? Because it's tired of your coughing encore. You're not laughing, but the thought of Maggie's chalk fish makes you smirk. No whaler's journeys end here. Kidding, no sea callbacks. Just dust, hope, and the dark. You're opening the door, your penny heavy, dreaming of a life where you're not a trapper. For now, you're just pulling, one final tug at a time, your star-etched wall a promise of a brighter path ahead. You're out of the mine now, the tunnel's cold grip fading as you sit on a quiet hill, the stars above a soft mirror to your etched one on the wall. The air's clean, your cough softer, and Maggie's pebble rests in your hand, smooth and warm from your touch. You're breathing slow, letting the night's gentle breeze carry away the dust, the fear, the weight of the pit. The world feels wide, its possibilities unfolding like petals, and you're whispering to yourself that you're strong, that you've carried more than coal, you've carried hope. The stars twinkle, each a small spark of tomorrow, and your eyelids grow heavy, the hum of crickets a soothing lullaby. You're safe now, wrapped in the promise of rest, the mine's shadow shrinking with every long, calm breath. Sleep's calling, gentle and kind, ready to cradle you in dreams of open fields and sunlight. Let it take you, soft and slow, into a world where you're just a kid again,